Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame number 160. Men, where have you gone? Women will let you come back with conditions. Where we're going to be talking about this article that's been doing the rounds on the social medias. We are, a little late to the party, but fashionably so. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is this like a request from somebody, or are you just like...
No, I just wanted to cover it. I know a lot of other people covered it last week, but I think Sargon, the Joker, Clownfish TV, and I watched most of all of them, like Sargon and the Joker. I watched all of it, but
not Smash Shade. You're talking about Clownfish TV, right?
Yeah, Clownfish TV. Yeah. I didn't watch the whole thing of Clownfish TV because I think they just sort of meandered off at the end there, and I was like, this is not on topic. And I know the irony of me saying that, but so I watched them and I felt like they were missing some of what's really going on. So I figured we could go through it and add our unique take to this situation. Essentially, this is a New York Times. I bet those birds are really going to drive people nuts. So I'll lower the volume, but let's get into it first. This is an article from the New York Times, and it is an article by a woman who is 54, and she is wanting men to take an interest in her again. Now, this isn't just a random 54-year-old woman. She is a divorcee. I think a multiple divorcee. She's had multiple relationships. I think she's had children. So she's also a single mom at one point. So this isn't like a 54-year-old widow who's suddenly like, dating again, because I'd like some male companionship before I die. No, this is a woman who's been up to stuff prior to getting to 54. Girl bossing. And and the way that Sargon responded, and I'm not going to say that Sargon or Joker are wrong, but I think that they're missing an elephant in the room. Sargon described how she presents herself in a way that she doesn't need men, and Sargon saying that a man wants to feel needed and wants to feel respected by his partner, which is true. It's 100% true. And she certainly is giving the impression that she's somebody who doesn't want to need anyone, or doesn't want to need a man specifically, because that requires a certain amount of vulnerability and trust. And I don't think this individual is willing to extend that. And I'm not saying that Sargon is wrong about what men want, but I think that that's not the whole picture of why she doesn't have a man. And I think Joker talked about how a man wants a woman who's just, who's going to smile at him when he comes home, maybe make him a dinner, be emotionally available, be allowed to be intimate, be a real partner. And he's not wrong either. But again, I don't think that's why she's single, because I think for both of them, they focus on this idea that it's a man who is no longer interested in her. And while that may be true at 54, it probably was not true at 24. So there is a life path that this woman took to get her to the place at 54 where men are starting to lose interest in her. And I think the idea that she isn't presenting something at 54, and that's why she doesn't have a man, I think that's only half of the story. So I wanted to get into it and maybe round out their interpretation of this woman's situation and why it exists. And it's pretty difficult to do that prior to them having made their responses. And also, we had a bunch of stuff last week. Brian finally got his computer. And just this Sunday, my Osmo turned into a spicy pillow. You guys know what that is, right? The spicy pillow. It's okay. It's like a really deep cut. Battery. That's when a lithium battery gets puffy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And lithium batteries have the tendency to just explode. So if you touch the spicy pillow, you might lose your face. But I came to work and the Osmo was on its tripod and looked like it had suffered some Christmas bloat. So I had to scramble to find something else to use. And so it's been a difficult week. So that's another reason why we haven't responded till now. But I feel like this does deserve a response because, again, the other responses I think were lacking in some ways. And also it's interesting to see how insane this woman is as she sort of begs men to come back. But at the same time, she wants men to know there are conditions, right?
Yeah.
There are things that men need to do for her to take the men who have left back. So anyway, let's do you want to just get started and I'll deal with the bird
Sure.
sound?
Do you need to do any things first? This is like the
Oh yeah,
last
sure.
day of the
Yeah,
month.
that's
So
right. We are at our last day. Like we're at the last 3 hours of our fundraiser, and I can check to see where we're at in terms of le funds. That might take a moment, but if you would like to help out, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/support. And if you want to send us a message at any point throughout the show, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. It is the very best way to send us a tip and the best way for you to send us your message, because you don't have to send that message through YouTube's very strange comment labyrinth, like something out of mythology. Your comment has to escape the Minotaur to actually get to us. So anyway, best way for you to send us a tip, feedthebadger.com/justthetip, and best way for you to get us those comments. Gives you a little bit more space to elucidate your thoughts. Is that the correct way of pronunciation? And also,
yes.
your thoughts don't go through YouTube's sieve. Okay, so let me just check and see if there's anybody, and then I can give you an idea of how much we have left. WordPress is very slow today. It's been slow for a while. I think it's because I need to update it, but that costs money. So, which is why we're doing the fundraiser, not specifically for that, but just to pay for the things that we need to get done. Okay. So we've already finished our fundraiser.
Woo!
Yeah. Thank you, Nucley, for $250. We're done. Sorry that you had to listen to that spiel, but it's still relevant. Send those comments to feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And thank you. Big thanks to Health Potion Addict, Yulkli. Big thanks to OKFS, because they were the ones primarily responsible for getting the final funds in. Love you guys. Really appreciate it. Now we can continue to give you our thoughts on this most magnificent of pieces of literature, because it does read sort of like fiction. Yeah. Okay. No, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you want me to play the video,
The
monster?
Mesh? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
The monster video. Okay, so we're gonna get a reading done by this Muppet, so that they can we can interrupt and talk while it talks. So playing it now.
Men,
Good.
where have you gone? Please come back. So many men have retreated from intimacy, hiding behind firewalls, filters, and curated personas, dabbling and scrolling. We miss you. By Rachel Drucker, May 17th. A warm Saturday night in Wicker Park. A vibrant stretch of Chicago where... Listen.
Yeah, I know. Like, this is me doing fan fiction. But okay. Well, let's listen to some. I just want to say though, before we get too deep into this,
go ahead.
I know that this is like a single woman's anecdote, but she's I think responding to her personal anecdote is weakening overall, because we should be, what this is I think she's trying to speak for a group, let's say a plurality of women that are experiencing the same thing. Like, there was another article that I read on a patron show not long ago, put out by the Wall Street Journal, that was similar to this, but it was more like looking at the trend, and it was framing it as, more women are living single, and they're doing like the Sex and the City thing, and they're like, they don't need men, but it's trying to frame it in a, I didn't, like a sour grapes kind of way, but I think it's the same phenomenon. So I think that this is like a trend, I think that we're seeing, like, where have all the good men gone? It started off as that. Now it's just, where have the men gone? You know, so
Yeah, the men
where
we
are all
would
the
like
good
to
men
eject
gone?
on a
Now it's
Saturday
just,
night.
where are the men, you know? So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so I'm just saying, if we were, I don't know, in my opinion, I don't think we're going to be served responding to this person's individual anecdote, because she's speaking to something bigger, but we can use it as the, let's say, the example of that bigger phenomenon.
Yeah, that's fine. And she's going to use her anecdote as sort of a grounding of the more, like, expanding this out to the greater world.
Yeah.
I just want to be petty here. This writing is shit. Okay, I wish.
Well, that's why it's in the New York Times, and it's like an
I
opinion
wish
piece.
journalists would just make the effort to become novelists, which actually takes a lot of effort, and stop putting this crap in their journalism, because it reeks of, I want to be a novelist, but I am either too lazy or incompetent to write a story that's compelling to anyone but my great aunt and my labradoodle. Okay, so stop it. Just write your thing. Don't try to create atmosphere. God, I hate that. I hate this endless freaking farted out atmosphere that you see in writing and stories. We just recently did the Doctor Who gay black Doctor Who season last season. All like, there was just too much atmosphere. This constant atmosphere, people talking about nothing. Like, it was getting really annoying. And this is something I've seen. Lazy writers just write atmosphere. That's what she's doing. She's writing atmosphere. Where's the verb? It's going to take a while, isn't it? Well, I guess we'll find out. But I just wanted to complain about that because, writing is my shtick.
Okay, let's listen to more of the porcudillo here.
This article read by Gabra Zachman. Troy and I were having dinner at Mama Delia, one of the quieter spots. The sidewalk patio held 5 tables, 3 two-tops, including ours, and a pair pulled together for a group of 8 women. At those tables, Troy was the only man. The scene was beautiful, low lights, shared plates, shoulders angled in. The kind of evening people wait for all winter. Still, I found myself watching the crowd as it moved past us. Women walking in pairs or alone, dressed with care. At table after table at the nearby restaurants, there was a noticeable absence of men, at least of men seated in what looked like dates. Troy and I have known each other.
Not only women only that don't put these crappy articles out on New York Times, women like this also inflict their poetry upon the world.
Yeah, right.
And I mean inflict. You could use it as like a Gitmo torture device, like the Vogon poetry reference. Okay.
Oof. Okay. Yeah, this sounds exactly like the article that I read for the patron show last week. I want to find it now because it sounds so similar to it. And it was essentially, let me see where it is here. Yeah, American women are giving up on marriage, and they were literally saying the same thing. There was like, women are going out and they're looking at tables and there's like no men there. Or there was another one where they were doing like some kind of like speed dating event or some kind of dating event, a singles event thing, and there were no men there. It was just women there. Are you guys getting the hint yet, ladies? Okay, but anyway, let's listen to more of the mollusk porcupine thing. Okay.
Almost 20 years.
Just so you know, Brian, we're getting some reports of issues with the sound. I don't know what they are yet.
What? God.
It might be the mollusk porcupine.
Well, I think the video is a little low, but I have it maxed out, so I don't know what I can do about that. Like, it's just the video is a little bit low. I could try to turn up the gain on it. Let me see.
Yeah, that might be something
I'd have to use a filter for that. Give me a second here. I gotta adjust it in OBS.
It is fine. I shall do the thing. If you guys want to, if you're enjoying this, send us a message at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. while we deal with the technical issues of I guess the low
All right,
volume on this video.
let me see if this changes anything.
All
We
right.
met at Playboy of all places.
Okay, so it is louder now. Let me just.
Yeah, great.
It's probably a little
Great.
too loud. Yeah. So hold on. All right, turning these.
Gin Bottle says, not once does she hold women responsible. Jen, she doesn't even hold herself responsible. There's like this moment where responsibility, it just sort of floats by, and she's like, "Get away, get away, get away." It's actually pretty hilarious. I'll point it out. Okay.
Okay, let me play more.
Back when we were both learning how desire gets packaged, sold, and sometimes misunderstood. We stayed close friends, bonded not just by our opinions, but by the effort it takes to stay in someone's life. That night, we made the effort. Still, what I saw unfolding around us felt like something else entirely, a collective shift I couldn't unsee. It started to become clear the previous April when a man who had been pursuing me canceled a dinner at the last minute. There was a scheduling mix-up with his son's game. I understood. I'm a hockey mom. I get it. Still, I went. I wore what I would have worn anyway. I took the table. I ordered well. And I watched the room.
What the hell does that mean? I ordered well. What are you, 6?
Yeah, I managed to pull it off.
It's just like, how do you order well? You're just like, I'll take the 17 and the 2. Like, what? You really knocked that one out of the park. How can I trust these boss babes when they say things like, I ordered well? Like, what? You mean you have a fluent command of the language that you grew up in? Like, what does that mean? Can anybody tell me? Like, in the comments, what the heck is she on? Is she just patting herself on the back for something minuscule?
For existing, her presence, for being the table.
I have never thought to myself, with an interaction with a waiter or a cashier, I've never thought to myself, wow, I did that well. I was really knocking it out of the park. I was the one that brought my A game to that interaction. Like, I don't know. Okay, let's
Okay.
we'll deal with the
I got a super chat from Albatross. Thank you. He says, this article legit made me angry with how disingenuous and emotionally manipulative I sounded. I think you mean it sounded. The quote, "you don't have to be perfect," end quote thing was hella dumb. Thank you, Albatross. Yeah. It's all like this kind of like self-affirmation, new agey stuff where women just say, I'm enough, and then that's supposed to be like a thing that they tell themselves. I don't know. I think it's generally bad, but I don't want to get into the weeds on that. So, all right, should I play more? Allison, are you muted? You're muted.
I know.
Okay.
I was struggling with my multiple screens here.
All right, I'm playing more of this.
The 2 tables nearby seemed to hold actual dates. The rest were groups of women or women alone, each one occupying her space with quiet confidence. No shrinking, no waiting, no apologizing. That night marked something, not a heartbreak, but an unveiling. A sense that what I'd been experiencing wasn't just personal misalignment. It was something broader, cultural, a slow vanishing of presence. I spent over a decade behind the curtain of digital desire. As the custodian of records for Playboy and its affiliated hardcore properties, including sites like Spice TV, I was responsible for some of the most infringed upon adult content in the world. I worked closely with copyright attorneys.
No, I think she's laying out the case for Cope. Because let me see if I can find this in the article here. I spent over a decade behind the curtain of digital desire. So she's saying is that she should have a better understanding of like attraction and dating and sexuality because she used to work for Playboy and its affiliated hardcore properties, including sites like Spice TV. I was responsible for some of the most infringed upon adult content in the world. I worked closely with copyright attorneys and marketing teams to understand what it took to get a man to pay for content he could easily find for free. So she's trying to lay out the case as to why she is qualified to speak on this. And of course, she's only speaking on it from the perspective of someone who essentially got made money off of exploiting men's sexual desire, while also apparently not being available for men until her 50s. Interesting. That
it is interesting, because if you think about it, an analogous position would be to say, I've worked in the new product line in McDonald's and I know how to get people addicted to my food. That means I am a nutritionist who can provide you a roadmap to health.
Yeah.
There's two different things there.
Absolutely.
Two different things.
Absolutely different things. You know, and like she's in her 50s, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that this is women that are at this age and they're still trying to go out, go to the club, go to the bars, go out for women's girls' night, whatever it is. And they're not finding any men around. And it's not just because the young men are not looking at them, not just that, but because I think that the way that people are getting together, for those who are, they're not doing it there. And men her age have already either found someone, got married, started a family, found someone, got married, or found someone and stayed with them, or they accepted, like they just went full monk mode and they're just like off the radar. And she is looking around her and saying something's wrong with society, but I think something's wrong with her.
Well, yes. I mean, I would
the
say
common denominator.
I think I think she's right. Of course, she doesn't blame the parties that are to blame. There is something wrong with society. There's also something wrong with her. And there's a lot of wrong with what we tell women about men. And also she isn't in position, like she is able to get a subset of men to pay for porn. You know, that's a very specific kind of skill set. That does not mean she understands what men want in a relationship. And also her attitude towards male sexuality. Well, you know what? Let me let her reveal that. Let's
keep going.
And marketing teams to understand exactly what it took to get a man to pay for content he could easily find for free. We knew what worked. We knew how to frame a face, a gesture, a moment of implication, just enough to ignite fantasy and open a wallet. I came to understand in exact terms what cues tempt the average 18 to 36-year-old cis heterosexual man. What drew him in, what kept him coming back. It wasn't intimacy. It wasn't mutuality. It was access to simulation, clean, fast, and frictionless. In that world, there's no need for conversation, no effort, no curiosity, no reciprocity, no one's feelings to consider, no vulnerability to navigate, just a closed loop of consumption. What struck me most wasn't the extremity of the content. It was the emotional vacancy behind it. The drift, the way many men had quietly withdrawn from intimacy and vulnerability, not with violence or resistance.
Wait. Is this now talking about pornography or
in the
the
world
dating
of
landscape?
pornography? Apparently, like, men were just using it to get access to simulation, and there was no need for conversation, no effort. Well, yeah, it's porn. Like, you're not going to have a conversation with porno movie. And
Yeah.
I think that you're misstating if you think it's frictionless. There's certainly friction.
Involved,
It's self-inflicted. Yeah. It's self-inflicted, but it's there. And then she says, what struck me most wasn't the extremity of the content, it was the emotional vacancy behind it, the way many men had quietly withdrawn from intimacy and vulnerability, but it's just getting your rocks off. Like, that's she's now, is she trying to like suggest that there's something pathological about men who like use porn for what it's used for. Like it's literally what gets you paid. You know?
She's essentially saying that men are sexually, like, I guess, emotional voids when it comes to their sexuality, even though she was talking about providing a product that is specifically geared to that. It's not about developing a relationship. Maybe this is like a profound difference between men and women. Women seem to want to develop a relationship in their fiction with a character that is specifically designed to appeal to them and not be anything but. So women have this romantic relationship, and supposedly it's superior to men just getting their rocks off. And yet, if you think about it, it's incredibly controlling. And like you're having in these romance novels, you're having a romantic relationship with a person whose entire being is designed to appeal to you. And it's getting worse and worse. Like in prior eras, romance, they actually had to show this development of a kind of a simpatico between the male and the female. Not anymore. The latest one was this one, oh, it was horrible, where the guy sacrificed the job, did everything for her. She didn't do anything. She didn't need to change at all. And that's not actually a romance, because a romance is about two parties actually changing and growing and putting the relationship ahead of their own individual interests. That's not even in modern romance anymore. So it doesn't even have that last bit of sanity. Now the man is just a projection of a control freak's idea of a man. And you're having an emotional relationship with that. It's actually more sane what men do, is to just get their rocks off and leave their emotions for their relationships and for valuing the individual in the relationship that they're, the woman who's in the relationship that they're with. Like, and what she's saying is that women, or she's implying, is that men's sexual behavior when they're consuming porn, it somehow informs their behavior when they're in relationships with women. But there's no, like I said, she's a McDonald's food expert saying, I know what nutrition is. No, you don't. You know how to sell a very narrow subset of human experience. That's it. Doesn't mean you know what men are like in relationships, right? Or what men want from women emotionally or in relationships. You just know how to get men to pay for porn. And in that is a very specific subset of men, because most men won't do that anymore. Unless it's OnlyFans, which they're really selling a parasocial relationship, which is something she should think about. All right, so shall we do a bit more?
I think most people who consume porn probably don't pay anything at all. I think most people don't, if they consume it, because it's so much of it out there for free. So, but anyway, let's keep going.
They weren't sitting across from someone on a Saturday night trying to connect. They were scrolling, dabbling, disappearing behind firewalls, filters, and curated personas.
Okay, I just want to pause for a second quick. There's a dig to, like, men who are watching porn are not the same men who are looking for a girlfriend at the time. Like a man could be both of those things at any given point in time, but not at the same time. But she's trying to use the fact that there are men who watch content that she helps create to essentially, like, describe the reason why she's alone. Like that. I mean, it seems like that's how she's justifying it, but we'll see.
And while they disappeared, women continued to gather.
Well, I mean, we could, yeah, sure.
Okay, so what I'm getting from this is we've gone from how she sees men consume porn, which, like I said, doesn't necessarily translate to their relationships, although romance novels probably translate more. And in fact, there is some research suggesting that romance novels ruin women's relationships more than porn use does. But regardless, because it emulates an actual relationship rather than just being more of a physical response. But regardless to that, she's saying that because she understands this, she understands that, and that doesn't apply. But the other thing is she's saying, well, actually, this is just elucidating on the minute. All right, let's move on. What she's saying is that men's emotional hollowness when they consume porn is somehow related to their withdrawal of intimacy from the dating world, their
Yeah.
withdrawal into indifference. So at one point, men were present in the dating world, but now they're not. And this reminds her of porn. And this seems to be some deep insight that she's presenting. And yet, I don't think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Tend to notice who wasn't arriving and to show up anyway. I'm Viren von Sixte. I've been dating since the mid-'80s, been married, been a mother, gotten divorced, had many relationships, long and short. I remember when part of heterosexual male culture involved showing up with a woman to signal something: status, success, desirability. Women were once signifiers of value, even to other men. It wasn't always healthy, but it meant that men had to show up and put in some effort. That dynamic has quietly collapsed. We have moved into an era where many men no longer seek women to impress other men or to connect across difference. They perform elsewhere, alone. They filtered us out. I recently experienced a flicker of possibility with
Okay,
James.
just
We met on.
shall we address that? They filtered
ahead.
us out. But she's also saying, she's like, the thing is that she has condemned male sexuality as hollow, emotionally hollow. She's now condemned men's participation in the romantic sphere as being selfish and egotistical. And I mean, she's going to go for a hat trick, like another way of condemning men. And then she asks, why have men disappeared?
Yeah. Maybe it's because video games have gotten better and you've gotten worse.
Yeah.
But okay.
Raya, the dating app. There was something mutual from the start: wordplay, emotional precision, a tone that felt attuned. It was brief, but it caught light. I remember saying to him, even fleeting connections matter when they're mutual and lit from the inside. I meant it.
God, that phrase! Sorry, I'm going to be triggered.
Oh my God.
No, you know what that phrase is from? It's the new
Even fleeting
hotness.
connections matter when they're
No,
mutual
it's the
and
new
lit from the
hotness
inside.
in media literacy. It's the new hotness. It's prose lit from within is the new way of describing beautiful prose. And in other words, prose that does nothing but suck its own ass. And she's using it here. This is a woman who's a wannabe writer who just doesn't have the chops. Anyway, that phrase just really drives me nuts. But she's just like, what is this? This is
I don't know.
bullshit. Like, we have two things that she has expressed contempt towards men over, and then this bullshit, which she's saying, oh, there was a glimmer of hope, and then she vomits out this bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could say.
No, it's just let me go back a teeny bit because I want to hear this
You
anecdote
want me to
again
do another
a little bit.
thing to get people,
Do what?
sending in those super chows?
No, I want to listen to this. I
remember saying to him, even fleeting connections matter when they're mutual and lit from the inside. I meant it. There was just enough spark to wonder what might unfold, enough curiosity to imagine a doorway. But he didn't step through it, not with a plan, not with presence. He hovered, flirting, retreating, offering warmth, but no direction. Sexual tension and a spark aren't reason enough to sit still and hope there's substance behind the shimmer. So I named what I felt. I texted him clearly with care, not simply to declare attraction, but to extend a real invitation to explore what was possible. I didn't chase. I invited, leaving the door open. If he ever wanted to cross the threshold, not just to take, but to meet, I was willing. I wanted, I still do. He never.
Yeah, I got that. So that's what I thought she was gonna say. So it sounds like she was potentially getting involved with a guy, and she did not like the way that he was proceeding with things. She had something she expected. Of course, men never know what that is. And in the era of post Me Too, guess what? That's tough. Guys almost don't want to navigate that. It's almost like this is a problem women created. And I mean, that like this is something that people don't really want to mention, but yeah, I mean, this is like a product of Me Too. So that's
Yeah,
what
let's
you're
listen.
gonna get.
Can we listen to it again? I just want to listen
Yeah.
to it again because there's something that you're right. There's something very critical in this.
Well, yeah, so right here.
Brief, but it caught light. I remember saying to him, even fleeting connections matter when they're mutual and lit from the inside. I meant it. There was just enough spark to wonder
Okay.
what might unfold.
He doesn't realize
Enough
this, but this
curiosity
is a red flag.
What?
This is a red flag.
What she's doing? Yeah.
Yes, because she's lecturing him over his emotional, like she's saying, "Oh, this is valuable, even if it's fleet." Like she's actually putting herself in a position of lecturing him over relationships, which is astounding if you think about it.
Yeah.
And also the lit from within. I think this is the new phrase that if a woman uses it, you should flee. Lit
Yeah.
from within. This is a phrase that probably it indicates a large amount of neuroses and this obsession with being in a certain feeling all the time, which is what writing has become, by the way. It's about generating a feeling instead of telling a story. Why the atmosphere is, this constant freaking atmosphere. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
And she's probably a terrible writer too. You'll have to read her prose and say, I love your use of metaphor and color. It's some shit.
imagine a doorway. But he didn't step through it, not with a plan, not with presence. He hovered, flirting, retreating, offering warmth, but no direction. Sexual tension and a spark aren't reason enough to sit still and hope there's substance behind the shimmer. So I named what I felt. I texted
Okay, but
him
here's
clearly
the
with
other
care.
thing. Do you notice how she's framed this? He's indicating he's not interested, so he's keeping a bit of distance, and she recognizes that. And she's saying, instead of picking up the hints he's laying down, she is basically reframing this as her rejecting him in a way. It's I can't wait for you to just be no, lady, he's telling you no, but he's doing it in such a way that you don't blow up his life. But let's see what she said.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
You don't
simply to
light his
declare
light
attraction,
from
but to
within.
extend a real invitation to explore what was possible. I didn't chase. I invited, leaving the
No,
door
that is
open.
chasing.
If he ever wanted to cross the
This
threshold,
is the other thing. You
not
can
just to
feel this
take.
tension in her between wanting a man, but also wanting to reject men. That's why she said, "Oh, I didn't chase him," because she's trying to maintain a particular way of viewing herself as the table who is chased, because tables run in her world or something. I don't know. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? She's trying to maintain a view of herself, and that view of herself is actually 180 degrees opposed to actually being in a relationship. Because he says, I didn't chase. Well, why are you saying you didn't chase when you are actually, by definition, chasing? When you're saying what you want, well, I mean, that's not isn't that chasing? Yeah, actually, no. He's withdrawing. You're going forward and putting even more emotional energy into it. That is sort of the definition of chasing. So you're saying, but I'm not doing that as you're doing it. Why? Because it's inconsistent with how you view yourself. You are the one who is supposed to be chased, correct? And if you chase men, then you're a pick-me handmaiden agent of the patriarchy or some shit, right? That means you care. That means you are opening yourself up to rejection, which is the most, this is the thing, guys. That is like existential horror and terror for women like this. To be rejected by men, to even accept the possibility is just doesn't compute. All right, let's keep going.
All right.
But to meet, I was willing. I wanted, I still do. He never replied. He still follows my Instagram stories. one of those small gestures of passive engagement that so many of us now mistake for closeness.
Or he forgot to unfollow. Like, I don't I mean, what is it when you follow someone's Instagram stories? I don't use Instagram, but like, is it just like you click and you follow someone, and if you like forget or ignore it or neglect to like look at your Instagram, they just stay followed? Because I mean, he could just. I don't think that he's doing it on purpose. I think you're reading into things.
Oh
like
yeah.
interest.
Oh yeah. Well, this is a female thing. This, they ruminate, they read into stuff.
Yeah.
You're probably right. He just was like, okay.
I probably didn't even really think about it. Like if they.
Yeah, he probably isn't even on Instagram. Like
Yeah,
much.
I'm like friends with people on social media that I don't remember why I ever added them, but they're there.
Yeah.
I don't think about it. Social
Yeah, he
media is
probably
not
doesn't think
reality.
about it.
It's online.
And he probably was just like keeping her at a distance. And I mean, I don't know what she meant by flirting. Who the hell knows at this point? She might be reading into the entire relationship. And this guy was just like, hey, once I see you like marmalade cats. I also like marmalade cats. And she's like, oh, do you? Oh, do you? I was like, and then she constructs this entire relationship and she's like backing away slowly. Oh, there was a glimmer of friction. No, maybe you invented this whole thing. Maybe he was telling you, maybe he was interested initially and he was telling you subtly, no, I'm not interested any further. So I'm not going to put any energy into it. Then you put energy into it. And I don't think he even responded. Okay, you were rejected. You were rejected. Possibly for using the phrase lit from within.
Or, maybe you're just neurotic. And the guy was like, I thought we were clicking, but you probably threw up some red flags, like when you guys were initially talking. And the guy was like, oh, or he's talking to multiple chicks. I mean, maybe you were chasing the Chad and he was playing the field and you lost to a younger, hotter number. I mean, that's also possible. So,
yeah.
But anyway,
but it's also possible that these guys just aren't interested. Like when you're 50, like she's 54 and she's still playing the field. At 54, I would imagine that a single man has a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
Like he's tried and been rejected a lot. And you're not going to find a lot of guys who are at that age who are necessarily interested in a relationship with a woman who is a divorcee, not a widow. As you get older, you're going to be competing with widows. I'm not even talking about the younger, hotter numbers, but women who've actually demonstrated some kind of loyalty throughout their life. Because, women live about 6 years longer and they're about, a certain amount younger. So there's going to be a larger amount of widows as you get older. So these 54-year-old women getting into 50s, 60s, they're not just going to be competing with young, hot women. They're going to be competing with women who were loyal their entire lives. And you think a 54 or a 60-year-old man who is fresh off either a divorce or maybe a widower, that's really unlikely. Is he going to choose you versus a widow? Like, and like you're talking about, yeah, she's probably competing with, she's not even that. She's competing with an increasing body of women who've demonstrated loyalty their entire lives to one man. You can't compete with that. And yes, she's also competing with younger, hotter models.
Yep.
But anyway, let's keep going.
I got a super chow.
Ooh, cool.
Yep, I got a super chow.
My arm twisting work.
So everybody do some Italian hands in the chat. Pepito gives us $15. Thank you, Pepito, and says she can stay lit from within alone. He. What a self-obsessed misandrist. Shame on New York Times for publishing this crap. You should see the one by the Wall Street Journal. It's like Wall Street Journal is a more, let's say, dry newspaper from what I remember, and they wrote an article that was similar to this, so maybe worse because it was like talking to multiple women who are like, I can't find any men, I don't get it, but there are also so few men that are like making the same kind of money that I'm making. Essentially, that could be its own show, but I did an after show on it, and it was good. Thank you, Pepito, for that. Men to women, such as the article writer. Oh, for $1, this is NovaFan21. You're not in a position to negotiate. You're in a position to beg. And then NovaFan21 gives another $1 and says, this is on Rumble, I think her article insists upon itself too much. That was how Family Guy described The Godfather. It insists upon itself, Lois. It insists upon itself. Thank you for the super chats and Rumble rants.
And she probably. And she probably insists upon herself.
The Italian fingers in the chat, fill the screen with them because I want to see them bouncing around. Okay, but go ahead, Allison. What were we going to say?
Well, she insists upon herself, most likely.
Yeah, she does. She insists upon herself.
She wants to be profound, and yet I don't even think there's any kind of self-awareness here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get to this because, like I said, there's been a lot of interpretations of why this woman is single, and I think they're all not hitting the mark. So I'll get to my interpretation at the end.
All right.
Feels like silence. There are thousands of Jameses.
That's because it is silence. He's not interested. He's just not that into you. That's all it is. She's trying to like poetically explain how actually he is. He's just not brave enough to do it. No, he's not into you. That's it. Like that I'm sorry, but it's sad, but it's true. Okay, going back.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like silence. There are thousands of Jameses. I have known dozens. The arc varies, but the undertow is familiar. What I won't entertain is directionless orbiting. That thing so many men now seem to mistake for connection.
Directionless orbiting? Okay. Is this not the most delusional statement yet, Brian? She's saying he's directionlessly orbiting her?
Yeah.
Like
he just can't admit that he's really into her 54-year-old ass.
Well, but the thing is that she has the way that she's described this is he wasn't really interested, right? And then she, I guess, shot her shot, which I suppose good on her, and he withdrew completely. How is that directionless orbiting? It sounds like someone who might have had a mild interest in you initially, and then you said, we could be lit from within, and he's like, crazy meter going into the red, and then he's like, I'm gonna just walk away in the most inoffensive way so that you don't blow up my life, and I'm gonna just stop responding to you. And she terms this to be ineffectual orbiting. No, this is a man who's not into you. Okay, if he was into you initially, he ceased being into you. Right? Do you see what I'm talking about? She can't handle the idea that she was rejected, so she reframes his behavior under the assumption that he still desired her somehow. And that, his indifference and following her on Instagram means that he's orbiting her. He's still, like you said, he's still interested, but it's because it defies her sense of herself as a woman, her value. To just acknowledge that this man is not interested in you. Okay,
back to the video.
And the perpetual maybe, the emoji check-ins, the casual seeing where it goes without ever going anywhere. We call it a situationship, but mostly it's avoidance, an abdication of ownership, of feeling, of behavior, of sex that isn't a means to an end, but is communion. There was a time not so long ago.
Wait.
All right. The abdication of ownership, of feeling, of behavior, of sex that isn't a means to an end, but is communion.
Okay. All right, lady. Sex that isn't a means to an end. So you're saying that these men are having sex with you as a means to an end. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying that the sex needs to lead to a relationship, and it's not. Oh, good grief.
Yeah. But you worked for Playboy.
Yeah.
Why did you think, what kind of people, what kind of circles are you moving in? That, where a person who works for, well, not just Playboy, because she said it's like, she also worked for more hardcore porn companies. What circles are you traveling in, lady? I mean, I think you're looking for a man that probably doesn't partake in what you're selling. That's like, going back to your McDonald's analogy. Like if you worked at McDonald's and you're upset that like, the CEO of Whole Foods doesn't want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to eat your food,
Yeah, exactly. That's what, you're using. Yay, I got an analogy that worked. I am so proud of myself. I ordered well.
Yep. Okay.
I ordered that one up well.
When even a one-night stand might end with tangled limbs and a shared breakfast, when the act of staying the night didn't announce the
My
relationship.
fucking God. Lady, what the hell? You're hoping for a one-night stand that you actually end up eating breakfast with the person? What are your options now? Does he just kick you out as soon as he's done? He's like, get out, get clothes, go. No, I don't care. You're paying for your own Uber. Like, oh my God, that. Maybe stop having. I don't know. Actually, there's not much advice that I can give this woman. She's fucked. But let's keep going.
All right.
Just a willingness to be human for a few more hours. Now, even that kind of unscripted contact feels rare.
Wait. You're only human when you're smelling like you're in a man's bed.
When the act of, I'll read the sentence again because I have it in front of me. When the act of staying the night didn't announce a relationship, just a willingness to be human for a few more hours. Now even that kind of unscripted contact feels rare.
What the fuck does that even mean? Like, it sounds like she's wanting to get a relationship and she's having one-night stands, and now it's completely about the sex. Well, you know what, lady? Maybe what's happening here.
I don't think she understands what a healthy relationship looks like.
This occurs to me really quickly. Maybe what's happening here is you're getting exactly what you expect to get from men. Right? You believe men, you have a particular attitude towards men, right? You believe that men, you base your beliefs about male sexuality on getting a very small subset of even pornography users to buy your content. Let's face it, most men won't. I don't even know why they would buy her content, but whatever. She didn't make it. She just marketed it. But you're basing your opinion on men's sexuality on a very small subset of men who are using pornography for a very specific task. And it doesn't mean that sex, like, they don't believe that sex can be part of an emotional relationship. They're just not interested in having a control freak Pygmalion version of a woman who is giving them the sex like romance novels and male characters, right? They don't. So it's like this is a physical act. The relationship is separate to a degree. It's an expression of intimacy, but at this moment, it's just physical release, right? And she's taking that and she's applying it to all male sexuality. And then she's also saying the only reason that men showed up at all was to have a trophy on their arm, was because of egotistical posturing with other men, right? These are your beliefs about men. Why are you expecting the men you attract to defy your beliefs about what men do and who they are, rather than confirm them? Huh? And that's not the ultimate reason why I think she's finding these guys and is facing loneliness. I'll get to that, but that's just something that occurred to me when I re-listened to this. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that, Brian? Or is it complete in and of itself?
Well, I was just going to say that I think that the fact that she works in an industry that creates fantasies, I think that she's kind of bought into her own product. And she's looking, because it sounds like she wants something that you would find in a romance novel where there's like a one night stand, but it turns into Pretty Woman. And this is like the problem with all modern dating, is that everybody thinks, well, a lot of people think that that's the way things happen, like in these fictional stories of, you know, love at first sight, boy meets girl. And she's like in her 50s and she hasn't woken up to the fact that that's just not the way it usually goes for people. I mean, you might get lucky, but like it's not like this. Like
Well, there's no luck.
She's chasing the spark, and that's just not the way it goes. Is what I'm saying. You know.
No, yet you're right. She's chasing the spark. You can't, there is no luck that will give you a romance novel life. That doesn't exist. And this goes back to what I'm saying, that in a romance story, the male character is a Pygmalion version of a man constructed entirely to please the woman on every facet. So there's nothing that exists. Like you talk about men, you know, using pornography to get off. It's because they don't want to think necessarily about the nature of the woman, because they don't like, it's not it. There's these two separate things. Whereas women, in order to have this sexual release, they have to have a man who exactly models their Pygmalion controlling desires about men. And I mean, again, not so bad generations ago, but now it's really bad. It's really bad in terms of romance. So it's like, that's not an emotional connection. That's just reflecting your freaking cortical folds back at you, right? It's utter emotional solipsism, you know. Yeah. And you're right. She's chasing the spark. She's chasing the feeling that romance novels give you.
And when she doesn't get the spark, she blames the men.
Yes, you're not going to get that from actual relationship, because actual relationships are like life, difficult, you know. And I don't mean the relationship itself is difficult. It's that you can't expect that from another human being. You can't expect to go into a relationship with someone who's going to constantly give you sparks and constantly make you feel a certain way. It doesn't work like that. You go into a relationship because you want somebody to be able to freaking tie down the sails when you're going into a damn storm with you. Like, you just want somebody who has your back, because life is hard enough. And all right, let's listen to more of this crap.
Let's keep going.
We've built so many boundaries that we've walled off the very moments that make connection memorable. And frankly,
who built the walls? Who built the boundaries, Joe? Who built them? Who is we? Exactly. Again, this goes back to the thing I've been saying. Whenever feminists say society or we or other collective abstract terms to refer to people, they're usually referring to either men or women, depending on the context. They're trying to get out of, if it's blaming men, then they'll say men. Or they'll just say men. If they can't say men, they'll say society. And then they'll assume that you're going to go with men on that. So when she says, we have built walls, I don't think that men did that.
No.
I don't think men did that.
No.
So, but anyway, all right.
Yeah. Morning sex is often the best sex. Sometimes you even get a side of eggs before you disappear from their bed.
What sex?
The morning sex is often the best sex. She's horny. She's got the horny. I don't have a baseball bat on me, but
morning sex is often the best sex. Sometimes you even get a side of eggs before you disappear from their bed and their life forever. This idea that vulnerability is a threat instead of an invitation.
I have a relationship, and guess what we do every morning? We share bacon and eggs every single morning. Or sometimes a bowl of Rice Krispies, you know, either or.
I make breakfast, and Lindsay makes dinner. It's an arrangement that works for us. Yeah,
it's a partnership.
Because I kick ass at making eggs, and I can make it in a couple different ways. And she's simple. She likes some sunny side up with toast, because she likes to put the toast in the yolk or turn it into like an open face sandwich. That's it. We're low maintenance people. I had tacos today for dinner. They were delicious.
Ooh. I'm having fasting today for dinner. But
we do that Wednesday and Friday.
I'm trying to do it 3 days a week. It's not even just for like weight loss. It's also because my stomach is total, like it doesn't work. So I need to recharge my digestive enzymes. And that's more information than you ever needed to know. All right.
Okay.
This woman, think about how many times Lindsay got to eat eggs with you, Brian, and this woman, she'll never know that because she doesn't have the right priorities.
Well, she's still weaving her anecdote,
Her narrative.
So I think she's getting to like what she wants to say.
Her money
she's
shot.
getting to the finger pointing. Yes.
Yes, the finger pointing
has created a culture of hesitation, of men circling intimacy, but never entering it. And the result is thousands of tiny silos. Everyone performing closeness, but no one making a move that binds. Isolation, loneliness, a hunger for contact that has nowhere to land. Maybe we're between paradigms, mourning what's fallen, not yet fluent in what comes next. The infrastructures of intimacy, slowness, curiosity, accountability have been eroded by haste, convenience, and a kind of sanctioned emotional retreat. It's not about blaming men. It's about noticing the imbalance, about meeting what's not.
Yeah.
It's not about blaming men, Brian. It's about noticing the imbalance. Because women are present and men are not. Men are not blame. I don't want to be called out for blaming men, but I want to blame them here. So she talks about balance, which means blame men. And when women are not present and men are present, you know, we don't think about the balance there. No, we just blame men for not being good enough. Like, what is she trying to say here? I just want to notice the balance.
She wants to blame men, but she doesn't. Maybe it's become a little bit less cool to do that. I don't know. Okay, but let's keep going because now she's getting to it.
Getting to it.
And about refusing to dress it up as personal failure when it's actually a collective reality. So here's what I'll say: you are missed.
No, but
not
you
just
don't
by
understand.
me, but by.
She's saying she doesn't want to see it as a personal failure because it's a collective reality. So there was this moment of potential accountability, but now it's a collective reality, which means that men are to blame. That's what that usually means. If all women are suffering something, then somehow men are not doing something or indifferent to something. Men are involved somehow. And men need to take responsibility. But there was a moment she's like, oh, maybe it's me. Yes, it is you. And it can also still be you if it's a whole bunch of other women doing the same things that you're doing. Like, okay.
All right.
When it's actually a collective reality. So here's what I'll say: you are missed, not just by me, but by the world you once helped shape. We remember you, the version of you that lingered at the table, that laughed from the chest, that asked questions and waited for the answers, that touched without taking, that listened, really listened when a woman spoke. You are not gone, but your presence is thinning. In restaurants, in friendships, in the slow rituals of romantic emergence. You've retreated, not into malice, but into something softer and harder all at once. Avoidance, exhaustion, disrepair.
So yeah, men are checking out. Oh, they're like losing. This isn't over yet. But this is a way that women are going to react to this. Apparently, they're not going to be like, my bad. Okay, but there is more here, so we'll see. But
I just want to point out that she is saying men. Like, this is all pointing the fingers at men. She says she doesn't want to blame men, then she proceeds to do so. She says she doesn't want to. She didn't chase, and then she describes chasing. Like, this is an unreliable narrator. All right, let's keep going.
All right.
Maybe no one taught you how to stay. Maybe you tried once and it hurt. Maybe the world told you your role was to provide, to perform, to protect, and never to feel. But here's what's real. We never needed you to be perfect. We needed you to be with us, not above, not muted, not masked, just with. And you can still come back, not by becoming someone else, but by remembering what connection feels like when it's honest and slow, when it's earned and messy and sacred. We're still here.
Do you feel like going back, Brian? I mean, if you were single, with this call, with this lighting the grail-shaped
If this doesn't
beacon.
work, if this doesn't work with Lindsay, and I don't think that's going to happen, but no, I'm not going back out there. I'm done.
You're done.
I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
This call, you can have an authentic connection with me. Really? A person who can't keep her freaking line straight for 2 sentences? How do you have an authentic connection with that? And what makes you think that constantly generating the romance novel experience is a real authentic connection? Like, and then the assumption here is, again, why did men leave if this was what was on offer, an authentic connection? Right? I don't think that's what happened. Like she says, so men used to be there because of egotistical reasons of showing women off to their male friends, right? And now she's saying, well, come back because
That's
of the
literally
authentic
projection,
connection.
by the way. Men don't do that, but
yeah, of the authentic connection. But you just said that the reason why men dated was not for an authentic connection, but just to show off a woman on their arm. So which is it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. Well, let's hear the rest, I think.
Yep.
When it's earned and messy and sacred, we're still here. Those of us who are willing to co-create something true. We are not impossible to please. We're not asking for performances. We are asking for presence, for courage, for breath and eye contact, and the ability to say, I'm here. I don't know how to do this perfectly, but I want to try. Come back, not with flowers or fireworks, but with willingness, with your whole beautiful, imperfect heart. We're still
Lit from
here,
within.
and we haven't stopped hoping.
Oh, why is it crying? It's weird.
I did that.
Oh, you did. You added this in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did all of the like that. People are saying it looks like AI slop. I actually did all of the movements. I was getting pretty ridiculous there in places, and the emotions. So I'm having her sob during this heartfelt appeal to men to come back. Because men left, I don't know why, because apparently women no longer functioned as trophies. And now she's going to say that men should come back for something that she said that men didn't want in the first place, which is authentic connection.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let me listen to that last bit again. Oh, damn it. Okay.
With your whole beautiful, imperfect heart. We're still here, and we haven't stopped hoping. As for me, I'll keep showing up, not because I'm waiting, because I know what it feels like when someone finally arrives. Rachel Drucker is
Again! It's not because I'm waiting, even though I'm waiting. I'm sitting down in a room with a bunch of metal chairs with like fake vinyl seats and a bunch of newspapers on the side table. And I have a number that I took from the reception, but I'm not waiting. Like, freaking good Lord. Again, unreliable narrator. What's authentic about this? And how dare she say that the men who are not interested in her and have left have the imperfect hearts? What's an imperfect heart? What's this slop?
No idea.
And again, like, this is like she already preloaded this. I'm not going to let her get away from this. She said that men are emotionally empty in terms of their sexuality, and their interest in women is purely in terms of having a trophy to show off to other men. And now she's saying, men, please come back, and we'll have authenticness. And yeah, I'm really not going to reject your authentic self, even though I'm a divorcee with multiple relationships in which I have demonstrated that I rejected men because I left them. Right. And then again, all of this is in response to a dude who was like, I'm not interested. I'm just not interested.
Mm-hmm.
No, not interested. Didn't actually, maybe this could have been, this New York Times article could have been prevented if that guy actually took one for the team and said, lady, no. Okay. I'm actually considering getting a restraining order here. Leave me alone. But, of course, he has to deal with the potential of her blowing up his life. But maybe we could have been spared this article if he'd just been explicitly honest. I'm not interested. Like, I'm not orbiting you. I don't have secret desires. And now she's saying, come back to this dude. He's not interested. Come back. We'll have eggs in the morning and authenticness. He's not interested. And there's no analysis of why men have genuinely left. No actual question why men aren't interested anymore. Why men aren't showing up. No, it's did she actually even think about that once throughout all of this?
Think about what? That she was a part of the...
No, why men aren't actually showing up? Or does she simply say, well, men used to show up because of trophies, and I guess now women are quietly possessing their space and are no longer trophies, so men have skedaddled.
Yeah, and they're basically saying, we know that we've taken everything from you, but please don't leave the table. You should come back to the table, even though you have nothing that that we
offer the table.
You. Yeah, you have nothing.
And we're going to demand it all.
We now, we have everything. So it's like, I think, again, Carl said, and we can get into what people's responses were, but Carl said the problem is that men do want to feel a sense of purpose and meaning. And I think that's why men, even now, are happier generally than women are. Because men are at least, there is something the world asks of them. With women, there isn't. They just do whatever you want. Work, don't work. Go to school, don't go to school. Stay at home with your parents, move out. Nobody's going to judge you because you're not allowed to. Open an OnlyFans. Fuck 1,000 dudes in a day. You'll get some people pushing back and saying something, but you can just call them I don't know, Puritans, and then move on with your day. And it doesn't matter. Whatever shape you're in after everything is over with, a man's got to pick you anyways, because you have a right to that. And I think that because we don't hold women to anything and we've just completely liberated them, they're miserable because there's no meaning in their life. Meanwhile, men, despite all of the obstacles, they tend to do better, with their mental health is better. And a part of it, I think, has to do with the fact that they are struggling, because it does, at the very least, it builds character. I'm not saying it's fair or right, but the reality is I think men do better because they actually know, if I don't have a job, they're not separated from the consequences of their actions or inactions, right? So a man knows, I have to work. A woman, do you know that women are a lot more likely to just quit their job at the drop of a hat? If they just don't, one chick, she quit. She was making $1,800 a week, and she just quit because she didn't like the way her boss talked to her or something, and it was wow, that must be really nice to be able to just quit a job that pays that well because you just don't feel 100% comfortable, because that if you do that, everyone in your circle is going to come together and help you out. But men are basically I just got to go to work. I don't like my job, but I got to do it. Right. And then, it is the reality. But at the same time, because we are harder on men, they deal with it better because they don't have an alternative. But because we're so nice to women, they're actually not doing well. That's why they're popping pills more than the so-called 50s with the Valium. It's way worse, the SSRIs that women are on, because they're living a life of complete liberation and no meaning. So, that's just what I think anyway.
And actually, there is studies to corroborate this. Men's ability to manage their emotions is superior to women. It's their ability to avoid rumination and other negative behaviors is superior to women. It's just that they're dealing with more. That's why they suicide more. Or they unalive themselves more.
Men?
Yeah, men.
Yeah, because they're better at it too. They mean it.
Yeah, they mean it. Like that's it. They're done. And they don't have the services. They don't have anybody. Like this American Psychology Association basically says if you're a man, they put a man at odds with his identity. So if he wants to be mentally healthy, the American Psychology Association will put him at odds with his masculine identity. They'll say, oh, it's because you want to be masculine that you have mental health issues, which is not true. It's not borne out statistically. Men's behavior in terms of their mental health is better than women's. It's just they're dealing with more. They're dealing with losing custody. They're dealing with being discriminated against in the workplace and in education. Teachers mark boys less. There are literally female-only scholarships and female-only employment opportunities, and men are doing the hardest jobs in society. So it's just, men, why do they unalive themselves more? They're dealing with more. They're carrying a heavier load. All right. Because, if you actually look at if you actually hold something consistent, so you look at suicides or unaliving yourself in a profession like being a doctor, and you look at men and women, and for the most part, you hold all of the pressures consistent. So doctors generally have the same amount of pressure, and you look at like ER doctors who have to work unholy hours and stuff, and you look at the men and the women in the profession, women are unaliving themselves more. They can't handle the pressure as well as men. Sorry, guys, just true. All right, let's keep going. Or is this the end?
Well, that's the end of the video. That's the end.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right. So I'm going to get into why I think that she is having the issues that she's having. And maybe this extends to everyone generally. Actually, could you go back like a few seconds and we could play a little bit more? I need to do better. I'm so tired.
Sure.
Yeah.
A few seconds and then play.
Yeah.
Where I stopped it, it's just them. It's just saying like who wrote it and stuff and who they are. So
yeah,
perfectly. But I want to come back, not with flowers or fireworks, but with willingness, with your whole beautiful, imperfect heart. We're still here.
And she's saying it to this guy who ghosted her.
As
he's not interested.
I'll keep showing up, not because I'm waiting, because I know what it feels like when someone finally arrives. Rachel Drucker is an...
Okay, all right, we can stop it now.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so she's not waiting. She's just waiting, guys. She's waiting for you to come back, even though you don't want to. And I don't think this appeal is making any men actually want to come back, because people can say anything they like, but their actions say more about who they are than what they say. So this woman is saying, oh, come back with your imperfect heart. Okay, so you're prejudging the men that aren't interested in coming back to you. And then she's also said, again, men's sexuality is emotionally hollow, and men were interested in dating for trophies. So she's already prejudging men. And then her behavior throughout all of this is she directly contradicts herself. She describes chasing someone and then saying, I wasn't chasing. She did something else that I remember, but I'm not blaming men. And then she describes everything that's wrong, like everything that men have failed at. They're in disrepair. They're quitting, whatever. And takes no responsibility at all as a woman for this situation, or even the situation that she's in. She doesn't have to necessarily take responsibility for the actions of other women, as long as she hasn't counseled women to take those actions. But she hasn't taken responsibility for her own actions. She hasn't said, hey, maybe the problem isn't men. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. She explicitly avoids it by saying, oh, this seems to be universal. Well, all women could be making the same problem or making the same mistakes that you're making. You could still take personal responsibility, right? No, doesn't do that. And then she, like I said, she says she's not blaming men, but who's to blame? Men are the ones that have to take responsibility, right? They're the ones who have to come back with their authentic selves, even after basically saying nope to her, right? This is, and then she says, I'm not waiting when she's patently waiting, right? She has been inconsistent. So there's no reason to believe that this is an authentic appeal. Okay? And every reason to believe that she continues to judge men. And this is the real reason why she's single. It's not because she's not giving men a sense that they can do stuff for her, or she's not giving men a sense that she's a good partner. Of course, she's not doing that. She's giving men no reason to come back at all. I mean, and she's set this up herself. This is her attitude towards men. They are wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Well, you're 54 years old. You don't have a lot of wham, bam, plenty of ma'am, though. So it is no longer working for you, right? And that is your attitude towards men since you were in Playboy, okay? And they are giving you what you believe they are, all right? Why would you expect anything different? But here's the other thing. She is not getting a man because she's not being, she's showing men that they can do something for her, like Sargon said, or she's presenting herself as a decent companion, like Joker said. She's not getting a man because she didn't do the work, period, when the work needed to get done. She is now at fall and she didn't plant a garden. And she's looking around and she says, I don't have a harvest. Yeah, well, you didn't plant a garden when you were supposed to be planting. That's why you don't have a harvest now, right? You're supposed to be creating a relationship when you're young, right? And then when you get older, you reap the rewards of having stuck with someone for that length of time and having a companion and being loyal to that companion. When you're 54, nobody fucking wants you anymore, except the person who has been by your side since you were 27 or 22, right? That is the reality here. You haven't built your harvest, lady, so you get nothing.
You're a little far from the mic, Allison. You're coming in low.
I'm coming in. Well, I am screaming, so maybe that's a good thing, right? She has, and what she did instead was this is why I brought up the fact that you sort of get these glimpses of how she wants to eat her cake and have it too. She wants, like with that particular anecdote about the guy who ghosted her, she wants to pretend like she was the one that was rejecting him because he was orbiting her when he was actually ghosting her. He wasn't giving her any indication he had any interest in her at all. Very lukewarm, like maybe even politeness. And she wanted to reframe that as him orbiting her and just not making the effort that she wanted in the relationship. Therefore, she moved on. That's ridiculous. Although she's not, she's still waiting, right? That's ridiculous. And it's because she can't conceive of being rejected by men. And that is the real big problem. She sees her self-worth in terms of rejecting men. So she's rejected them throughout her life. She's basically sees her self-worth in smashing her harvest. Like, I don't need no garden. I'm going to go smash it. So she builds another garden and she goes smashes it, and all her friends do the seal clap. Oh, you smashed your garden. That was great. You're you're worth more than that garden. You're worth more. You should just, and she does it over and over again. She's rejecting building anything because the rejection feels so good. Like being able to reject a man just feels it's so fulfilling. And that's what she's been doing. You know, kicking a man out to the curb for whatever reason. Like how many opportunities did she have to build that long-term relationship? She says she had a marriage and then multiple men, right? I've seen that happen. Okay. The women who go into that downward spiral never get a man better than their first husband. Never. And they get ones that have significantly more baggage as they go down. Never get a man better than the first husband, right? You had an opportunity to have a life with someone. What did you squander it on? What's the real reason why you left him? If you think about it, was it really because he was a narcissist or abusive, or because he was boring? Because that's the most common. He's boring. Yeah. When your garden is just starting, it's boring. It's boring, but you stick with it. You stick with it. A lot of us get a lot of sense of satisfaction in knowing that we have expressed loyalty and helped another human being have a better life or made someone else's life better, right? So we enjoy the process of growing our garden. And when we're 54, we get a nice harvest. You don't. You didn't do the work. You just enjoyed rejecting men. So it's not because she doesn't present the idea that men can take responsibility for her or do stuff for her, or because she doesn't present the idea that she'd be a good neither of these things are wrong, because she doesn't. It's because she literally sees herself in terms of rejecting men more than accepting them and building a life with them. It's like a bulimic asking, well, why can't I keep dinner down? Because you keep shoving your fingers down your throat, right? That's why. Lady, why can't you keep a relationship? Because you keep shoving your fingers down your throat and vomiting up the men who you attract. And at this point in time, it's too late. You don't have the mentality to have a proper relationship. Like, you get freebies when you're young and you're a woman. You get a lot of freebies. You get men interested in you, men wanting to have a relationship with you. Those freebies go away as you get older. And if you haven't turned those freebies into anything, you're going to have nothing. Sorry. I hope your kid likes you. So that's about okay. Right. Did you want to add anything to that? I think that I will speak and then you can add what you want. But I think it doesn't, framing it in terms of what she's not giving men, I don't think captures what's really happening here. The problem is that she rejected her opportunities. Right? She rejected them. And now opportunities have run out.
Well, she got married and then divorced. I think that she said there were children involved. So she threw away something that was there that she had. And of course, we're not going to know the reason for it, so I don't want to speculate. But I don't know. I think that should have been priority number one. Maybe your happiness doesn't come first.
So
maybe that's the problem.
Youngie Blodisky TV, because the guy couldn't lead. No, I think he led himself out the door quite aptly.
Why would a guy lead if he's not interested?
Yeah. Why would the guy lead if he's not interested?
He doesn't appear to be interested. So you're basically saying he should just be in the relationship anyway and just prove that he's a leader to a woman he doesn't want anything to do with? That's, what's the word for it? Retarded.
Yeah, that is the word for it. Man, I just realized I'm off center. God damn it. I was so careful about centering myself too. Yeah, no, I don't think it's his lack of leadership is the problem here. It's the fact that he's not interested in her. And a whole bunch of men are not interested in women. And if you want men to lead, you're going to have to reduce how many powers women have socially and via state sanction. Maybe get them a little bit more equal. But this conversation is one we can't seem to have, at least not in more mainstream circles. But anyway, like I said, I thought that the real critical thing that's being missed is her problem. She sees herself in terms of rejecting men because she wants to be morally superior to men. That's her position throughout this entire thing. Did you notice that? She's morally superior. And that men can come back, presumably, since she said before that men only wanted women for trophies, that men can come back when they deal with their shit and start wanting authentic connection. Or maybe they just don't want to come back, right? Trophies or not. Because the inherent to this entire analysis is that the reason why men are not dating is because they no longer get their patriarchal benefits from dating, which is being able to show women off as trophies. So when she says, I want you back, I want an authentic connection, I don't buy it.
Every accusation is a confession.
How can you have an authentic connection to somebody you have moral contempt for? Right? And I doubt she's ever going to admit that she might be profoundly wrong about men. I'm almost certain that she's a feminist. Is she ever going to say, you know what?
She literally used the term cisgendered, heteronormative, or something in her thing. That's usually a dead giveaway that we're talking about a gender ideologue.
So I'm guessing that actually saying, oh yeah, maybe I was wrong about this unscientific assertion that men oppress women. And it's very unscientific. How many animals do you think exist in which the male actually oppresses the female? Right? Maybe chimps, but I don't think that's actually really. Chimps are not a really good model for humans because we're obligate pair bonders, which means children die without their fathers. So you really think in that circumstances, men and women are going to evolve to be at war? No, they're going to evolve highly cooperative relationships. Like that's the thing. Why do you think humans are so unique? Because men and men are highly cooperative. Men and women are highly cooperative. Women and women are more cooperative than other female great apes, but that doesn't say much. But that's why. So it's ridiculous to say that men and women are at war, and that a society could be evolutionarily fit when it sets its men and women at war with each other. Doesn't make sense at all. Mm-hmm. And it's never been scientifically proven. Is she ever going to say, I might be wrong about men? Maybe men aren't inherently evil. Maybe they don't have flawed hearts. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
do you want to?
I think that's it.
Shall we call it a day or do the basketball?
Whatever you want. I mean, I feel like the Caitlin Clark. I did watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was WNBA, so the Diet Coke of sports. Although Caitlin Clark is like an exceptional player, and I know all I say is from what I heard, I don't follow it too closely, but Caitlin Clark is like the first female like WNBA person that could be considered like a star, and all the other women hate her. All the other women who play basketball hate her. So,
aside from her one
she's more I don't know whether she's more on the Michael Jordan side of being like, a great athlete, but also like a kind of a model, a model individual, or if he's more like a LeBron James, where he's really good at the game, but he's also not a great person. So I don't know which one that is, but all right, I got a super chow.
Yeah, we do. Let's do it.
Laptop 215 gives us $25 and says the lady who wrote the article needs a new hobby, methinks. Anyways, thanks for everything you do, Allison and Brian. Well, thank you, Laptop 215. So
Chris Minzo says Caitlin Clark could beat anyone in your audience one-on-one. I would hope so.
I mean, yeah, she's a professional basketball player. Yeah. I don't know why you think. First of all, why are you caping for someone that we didn't even criticize? Like, I don't understand, Chris. You're a weird person that likes to watch our videos, and then you troll us, and you say useless things, and then you say, well, Caitlin Clark would destroy you. And I'm like, I'm literally complimenting her on her ability to play basketball, and you're acting like I'm attacking her. So when I compliment women, is that also an attack on women? Like, is that how much of a white knight you are? Is that how hard you simp? That's kind of sad, but welcome to the show anyway. Please stick around and have a good time. Maybe you'll learn something. But anyway,
I actually want to get into the Caitlin Clark thing because it is insane, and I don't think all the women in the WNBA actually hate her. because she
No,
has
I mean, a lot of them do. They're
a
very
lot of them
jealous
do.
of her.
And even her teammates seem to be somewhat indifferent, but she does seem to have a friend finally. So do you have the video? Let's take a look.
Yeah, I got
there
it.
we go.
Am I playing it from the beginning?
Yeah, sure. I don't think
It's
we
like
need to worry
7
about.
minutes.
I don't think we need to worry about.
Allison,
copyright strike.
your camera changed. You're on a green. You're just green.
Uh-oh. I'm a green square. I imploded. A feminist finally
Yeah.
got me. All right, let me just fix that. It'll take a moment, but just play the video.
It's the most populated WNBA game. All the hundreds of people tune in for the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is playing. All right.
Lots of fun and drama in this WNBA game. This happened a while ago. Everyone requested it. I appreciate you. The Dodgers and Padres decided to fight for 4 games.
Hold on, let me pause it because this is like ear rape now. Because I altered the because the other one was so
I think
low.
I'm good now.
I had to raise the volume.
I'm no longer.
Maybe I'll just lower it manually over here. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. I'm sure that we're experiencing RIP headphone users for that. Okay.
So it got pushed and pushed and pushed. But here we go. It's brought to you by DraftKings. And I'm going to open up with this, which I hadn't seen from all the highlights on social media and all that. Right before the main event, Caitlin Clark gets called for a foul here, and she runs over and she's like, I didn't touch her. I didn't touch her. And they're saying, well, look at it. We'll look at it. We'll look at it. We'll look at it. She's like, wow, look at it. And she's right. There's no contact made. She gets called for the foul. Watch this replay right here. Just no contact made. Gets called for the foul. She tells the ref, she says, oh my God, watch it back after the game. Trust me, you'll see. Yeah, I didn't touch at all. Watch it right now. Look up. There it is. So that happened. They make both of their free throws. And then Indiana's got the ball. And it's the next possession right after she doesn't touch someone and gets the foul. Then you got Caitlin Clark with the ball, banging around top of the key. Her and JC Sheldon just banging around. And then she's going to take a finger to the eye and then gets bumped and then gets sent to the ground. Oh, she can't believe it. Oh, what the fuck?
Is this the bit that was crazy?
Can you believe that? But no, it actually gets better. But people are tuning into the WNBA because of this drama, right?
Yeah.
Because it's now getting crazy. So it's almost like they're getting asses in seats because this woman has become a target.
Yes, that's right. She's been really good for the ratings because nobody wanted to watch this shit before.
Now they're watching it because of the drama. But I'm just wondering if maybe women's basketball will end up being like hockey. They'll start having to throw punches and do.
Maybe they'll be throwing hands, and those are the clips that will go viral.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
anyway.
keep going.
All right.
What? Are you kidding me? I just got fouled for not touching someone, and they just tore my eyeball out and banged me to the ground. So we'll slow down and enhance this. It's a thumb swipe to the eye and the bridge of the nose. And then JC walks up to her and kind of leans in a little, straightens up, throws the belly at her, right? Just like, boom, just a little bump. And she's like, God, stop. And then number 3, Marina Mabry just sends her to the ground. So there's a little bump from Sheldon, and then blindsided number 3 bangs her to the ground and stares at her while she's down. Yeah.
This is like holy shit. This is like bonobos. This is a chimp out of the WNBA floor.
Actually, you're actually quite right. I was looking at the violence that bonobos do. They are extremely they didn't actually look on female and female violence, but bonobo males are actually more aggressive to each other than bonobo.
They're just reenacting like typical lesbian relationships here. That's all.
Chimp behavior, chimps are supposedly get this rap for being really aggressive, and it's because male chimps tend to be more physically aggressive towards women, or the female chimps. But if you actually look at the incidents, female bonobos are 3 times more aggressive to female or male bonobos than male chimps are to female chimps. So There's a lot of violence in Bonobo society. And
Sure.
nobody wants to talk about that. All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I do. You're not looking. You're not set on your feet. I come in and just bang you to the ground. So they look at the replay for far too long, just way too long, almost impossibly too long. This is just a quick clip, but you can tell by everyone else's faces around them. They're bored, just so bored. And it just, I mean, this feels like a long time. It's
Look at
not, but
this.
it was like
Can you
way
believe this refereeing? Did you see, like, she has a foul called on her and she didn't even touch the woman in multiple
Mhm.
angles. You can see that Caitlin Clark did not touch the woman. And then she gets poked in the eye with a thumb. Well, why her hand was there, nobody knows. You know, the other woman who poked her in the eye, and then shoved down, no foul. Or like they're getting their microscopes out. Can we see? Can we?
Yeah, these guys are these heads,
Yeah.
these floating heads. Are they
They're
like
trying to looking at
they're-
this to find the foul.
Yeah, they're
They're
probably
foul.
wondering like, how do I respond to this without losing my job for being sexist? Because no matter who I
Sexist.
call out, I'm gonna get in trouble. How do I navigate this minefield? How do I walk this line?
Well, obviously you throw Caitlin under the bus.
Caitlin Clark, yeah. We could call
Because
it white privilege and then do that. How about that?
Yeah.
We're probably leaning on that. It's a bit
No, you know
it's
what
a bit
it is?
risky.
It's merit privilege. Caitlin
Yeah.
Clark has unfair merit privilege. She's so good at something, it's unfair to the other women.
She must be a man.
Yeah.
Must
Okay,
be some form of male privilege. Okay.
longer than this.
What?
So Caitlin didn't touch the other woman, but she still has a foul called on her, and they throw the baskets, and then she's literally sent to the ground, and these idiots are like, is
I
this a
wonder what
foul?
happened here. We gotta watch
Well,
this.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously like bias against her. For what reason? Why? This isn't the like they talk about how Jordan had this experience, but this isn't the players doing this. This is the referees showing obvious bias against Caitlin Clark. Why? Why are they eating the woman who is putting the WNBA or the women's basketball on the map? Like, why are they doing this to her? Why are they prosecuting her like this? Persecuting, yeah. All right, let's keep going.
They're haters.
This is just one clip. They looked at it for so long. She's like, please don't see what I did. Please don't see what I did. And good news, flagrant one on JC. Yeah. What about the shove? She's like, we didn't have a look at somebody shoving. It should have been an ejection. That's really bad. You spent that much time looking at the replay and you didn't even look at after the thumb to the eye. That's all they looked at. And the coach is like, so I'm running in and I talked about someone. And that's cool. Caitlin Clark makes free throw number one.
They're looking and they're thinking. They're so atomized that this woman shoves her thumb into Caitlin's eye, right? And that's all they're looking at. They don't even bother with the woman who just shoved her down onto the ground. They're like, no, that's irrelevant. So after a player is assaulted, that's the only thing you consider. Everything else is free game. Like it's you don't have to worry about it. Once the player is assaulted once, that's the only thing. Other members of the opposing team can go and get their hits in. Free action. Okay.
Yep.
Let's keep going.
On number 2 and number 3 doesn't miss. Now let's move on. 4 minutes left in the fourth. And Caitlin Clark's going to get the ball. Her and JC Sheldon just guarding each other all day, hanging out. She finds an opening. Sheldon's on her, hand up, in her face, bangs the deep three, celebrates accordingly. Yeah! Fuck yeah! You like that? Yeah! Yeah! And then, this is right after that. Now, they're just hanging out again. Spending a lot of time together on the court. Yeah, Caitlin Clark, JC Sheldon. I'm just isolating them. So it might be a little pixelated, grainy, but Caitlin Clark guarding JC Sheldon and then claps in her face when the pass goes awry. And then there's a shot and they get the rebound, and Caitlin gets it, and then they call timeout. And right here, Sheldon's going to say something like, you can't guard me. She says, oh, yeah? And you can guard me? You can't guard me. Clap. Come on. Let's fucking go. Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
She looks
Sorry
kind
to
of
everybody.
like, she looks kind of like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob here. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like a handsome woman.
Yeah.
You could
Let's
probably
do it. Yeah.
Is that it? What?
no. You could probably jump a little bit ahead, like maybe 30
Jump
seconds.
ahead to where? To like
Yeah.
like right here?
Yeah, like the thing is that okay, right here.
All right.
Take her to the ground. Bam. Throws her to the ground, steps up and steps right to her, grabs her by the head and just screams in her ear, all while being the most calmest person you can be.
This is
Pretty
Caitlin.
cool. And look at the zen
School
that Cunningham
teammate.
finds as she takes her down.
Cunningham.
Just drapes
Cunningham.
her, throws her to the ground, no facial expression, just like a slight peaceful smile. Like the most peace she's had in a long time. And then
She actually took,
grabs her, steps up, do
What?
let's watch this and I'll tell you what
right.
happens.
something. Do something. Do something about it. Do something about it. Do something about it. Yep. Let her know. Do something about it. Kind of begging her just to do something. Meanwhile, she had her hair. She just had her grab back of the head, just ragdolling her, whispered in her ear. Look at this shot. You know, do something about it, JC. Do something.
It's comedy. This guy is like, this is ultimate play-by-play. He's reading lips and shit on the that's new. I mean, anyway.
Something about it. Do something about it. You can't because I got your head. You're mine. In your face. And then, oh, you see that? The hand comes off the back of the head and goes across the face, and just a little push just for good measure. You know, you put your thumb in Caitlin's eye, I'm going to put my thumb in your eye. There you go. And a little bit of the mouth. Interesting. Had a chance to bite her. Now, this was all on top of the crowd, and this woman saved by this man. Look at that. He goes, hey, you good? I got you. I'll protect you. We're both wearing red. So that's my job. These fans,
What?
No, just the white knight. God damn. Spoiling the fun.
He wanted to prevent things from escalating. It's not really the point. You know, the point of a sports event is to play sports, not to fight in the streets, unless we're talking like MMA or something. So.
In for a treat. And then you got this head just popping up. 12 or 40. I don't know. You tell me. She's still cool. Chewing gum on the sideline. Didn't get rattled. JC's fixing her hair because that got messed up from when Cunningham grabbed it and screamed, do something in her ear 5,000 times. And yeah, she's going to get kicked out, which she's totally cool with. They go to replay again. It took less time. This one was a little easier. Throws the towel, flips the hair, and she's out. Kicked out of the game. 2 minutes.
So essentially what happened is Cunningham she didn't really fuck her up, but she slammed the woman who took out or
put the thumb in Caitlin's eye.
And then she took the she was basically ejected from the game for it. But she later on tells it she actually explained what was going through her mind, and she said she just got sick of Caitlin being treated like this, and then the referees doing nothing. And so she got some vengeance. You see, it's not justice. It's when women do it, it's vengeance. All right. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. It's really interesting how much Caitlin is getting shit. And it's not just the players, because they, like I said, this Michael Jordan, or was that? Yeah. Got shit from the players in the NBA. But it is the referees. And what is with the WNBA and their hatred of Caitlin Clark. What is with that? Why do you guys loathe this woman? She's actually putting you guys on the map. I mean, how can you justify that? She didn't touch that other woman at all. And yet she gets shoved and you have to discuss it for 5 minutes. Like, and probably the only reason they called it was it's so egregious that they couldn't do anything but do that. So how is it that the administration of the WNBA has it out for Caitlin Clark? Like, is it just resentment? Is it just the bucket of crabs principle? You resent the fact that she's that good and you just can't handle it? It's unfair. I mean, merit points should be distributed equally, right? Anyway, it just strikes me
That's my suspicion. Yeah, I think it's just like when men are, it's not that it doesn't happen, but like I think generally like men are more likely to see someone who's really good as like a challenge to like, I want to rise to that challenge, right? Like Michael Jordan on the Bulls, when he was with the Chicago Bulls back in the day, in the 90s, when I used to work, was like the late 80s, 90s. I used to work at a cafe, and in the summer, I think it was like the summer when the basketball season was coming, you know, I would work the cafe as a busboy, and like I helped the bartender. I was like 18. It was like my first job. And when the Bulls had Michael Jordan, he made the entire team better. And you got like, they drew in the best players. It was Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, the second best player in the NBA. Then you got like guys like Dennis Rodman, who was the great rebound guy. They had like all of these great players on that team. And I think that at that time anyway, Jordan made the whole team better. Like they were all trying to like outdo each other, but in a way that is more like, you know, what's the word, sportsmanlike. So you had competition, but it wasn't as aggressive back then. I think that basketball has changed. Like sports is more, it's actually like less of that now. Like guys like LeBron and stuff. There's a lot more aggression and like, you know, more like, let's say like unhealthy competitiveness and less sportsmanship. But I think that that is not the same as the way it is when women play. I mean, I don't know all about it. I don't claim to be an expert, but like based on the way that they're acting towards Caitlin Clark, and then couple that with the soccer team. Remember the soccer team with the woman that looks like the legendary skin for Rachel Maddow? She was like the captain of the soccer team that lost to like a bunch of high school student boys, but she won the trophy and she was shouting, "I deserve this," right? It's just a different mindset. Like there's less grace and there's less gratefulness and there's less humility, it seems, with the women than it is with the men. I mean, I remember Ronda Rousey, who was like, you know, like killing it in the ring, and she was so cocky and so arrogant, and maybe it was a show, but I don't think so. I think that and she ended up like getting her ass beat by her name was Holmes, who was, you know, a little humbler, a little hungrier, and so she was able to win. That's what I think it comes down to sometimes. So you know, again, I don't claim to be an expert on it, but there might be something about female psychology and male psychology and the way that they receive, the way they deal with competition, and the way that they deal with jealousy. And the thing is that feminists for decades claimed that, you know, masculinity is all about like dominance and competitiveness to like this extreme degree of being like, you know, violent to dominate other men. And that's why they will claim that patriarchy hurts men too and all of that. But from what we have talked about all this time is that that's generally not like that. There is a kind of man that does that, but that's not normal for masculinity. Most of the time it's men working together. It's cooperative, but the best kind is when there's a mixture of cooperative when you're working as a team, like if you're on a team, like a sports team or a military unit or, you know, firefighters or cops or whatever, and you have like a goal and you're working together towards that goal. I think that that's where men excel. And I think that that's like an evolved trait. It's like not something that's just like innate per se, but it just came over multiple generations of selection. And a lot of the selection came from women. And so that's the way I think men express it. And then with women, though, I don't think that that has been like, let's say, put through the same stressors over generations. So women are still really new at this thing, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think that might be why and also we've never, like, again, the whole conversation about dominance and envy and stuff only comes out of the feminist perspective. It's the water we swim in today. So when women become jealous and they destroy each other, which we know happens, we act like it doesn't happen. We just turn a blind eye to it. And so when we see it happen like this, some people are shocked. Like, oh my God, I thought that was something that only dudes did. But of course you do, because that's the way feminists talk about it. Whenever they say anything negative, it's never feminine. It's always masculine. So that framing is basically like how we see the world. And I mean, this doesn't surprise me at all. Like because I've seen how women get when they're competing with each other and the way that they aggress against each other. We know that happens, but it's not something we're supposed to talk about.
Yeah. And one of the things I was thinking of was, I don't know if women have a lot of a language or a framework for dealing with jealousy of other women. And it's one of the most toxic things that I see today. I think it's behind the female dating strategy destroying the lives of the people who listen to them, because they're jealous of women if they have a partner, and they don't. They're jealous of women if they have what they think is a better partner and they don't. So they start picking at it. You get women trying to seduce the boyfriends of their girlfriends, that kind of thing. And when somebody has a talent, and they've probably, I'm sure Caitlin Clark has done the work to bring this talent up to its maximum potential. I think a lot of women think that that's an unfair thing, because, and it comes back to, there was a study done on men and women and how they approach interviewing and learning to be better at interviewing. And what they found is, while women did better initially at interviewing than men, when they got feedback how to improve, they didn't pursue it. They didn't stick with it. They didn't enact the feedback. The men enacted the feedback. The women just sort of quit, because for whatever reason, they felt like their actions couldn't affect a positive outcome in their abilities, whereas the men took the feedback and improved. So over time, men were improving their interview skills, and women just shut down in the face of criticism. And it's this mentality that what you're given is unfair. Like you can't change it, right? You can't look at Caitlin Clark and say, hey, maybe I have some talent. I could work on it and become more like her. You look at Caitlin Clark and you say, oh, she was just unfairly granted these skills by virtue of her birth, which is true. I mean, athleticism, there's a lot of genetic components to athleticism, but a lot of it is grit too, right? It's the willingness to do the work and to be as good as you can be, and not, see her as an example of being really good at what you do. And then so they reframe it as, it's unfair. It's unfair that she has these skills and I don't, because it's just almost like a passive thing. You're just granted it by genetics, and you can't change it, you can't shift it, you can't see it as an inspiration to do good in whatever you can do, right? Or do good in terms of helping her, being support for her or something, or seeing it in terms of a team effort. That's the other thing. Seeing Caitlin as you share in her glory as her part of her team, or even you share in her glory because she's making your sport relevant. It's just resentment over what she's getting. And this is something I see very much with women, because women's essential conflicts are over resources, and they have trouble seeing the process of building a resource. And this ties right back to the woman we talked about who's complaining about men not being in her life. She probably looks at women who have men at 54 and thinks that this was unfair, or that they're a pick-me, or that they compromise somehow, or and degrades and expresses jealousy towards what they did. And you can do that by saying, well, he's not really worth it, or she had to compromise her values to stay with him. But it really is jealousy. And it's the inability to see that those women did the work, right? And that really reduces the jealousy, because you look at Caitlin Clark, you say, well, she did the work, right? You look at women who excel, well, they did the work. You look at men who excel, well, they did the work. Why did the men in that study end up having more interview skills than the women? Because they did the work, right? They didn't start out with better interview skills. The women were ranked higher. That might have been biased towards women. It might have been that they were just inherently better at interviewing initially, but it was the men who did the work in response to the criticism. And to be able to do that means you cannot shut down. You can't see criticism as, oh, somebody is denying me resources. You have to see criticism as the first step to developing your own resources. Okay? And this woman won't ever internalize that criticism. Like,
Yep.
okay. All right. So, and women in general have trouble internalizing criticism. And I imagine Caitlin Clark feels like a hell of a lot of criticism to a lot of WNBA players. All right. So I think that's good. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think that's good. We've gone for 2 hours.
Entertaining. Yeah. I hope you guys have been entertained. Thank you again. Let me just double check to see if there's anybody else who put something through that I have to thank. But thank you again to OKFS. Thank you to Ulkli. Thank you to Health Potion Addict. Thank you to, actually, there's a few. Yeah, those are the, each of them sent 250. And then there was Hunzi, who sent 75. And yesterday we already thanked the people who put something through then. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for another successful fundraiser. Very much appreciated. We're going to continue to do this work, because again, like this is a different, I think this is a different analysis. I mean, we could, I don't know if you want to touch briefly on what you saw with the other analyses of this woman saying, where are the men gone? But
I didn't watch those other things. So,
but I think they focused more on what she wasn't giving men, rather than the fact that she was rejecting men, and she probably was enjoying it and feeling like she was a high flyer, until she realized that, and I don't think she's ever going to take responsibility for this, that she had the opportunity to build a relationship that would last her through, her elder years, and she didn't do it. Right. And now she is somebody who doesn't seem like a good risk for a relationship for a man in her age bracket. Like, are you going to get kids from this woman? No. Like, that's over. That ship has sailed. So what is it that she gives? Is she genuinely wanting an authentic self? Or does she want to judge this man for rejecting her? Because he doesn't want the authentic. He doesn't want the lit by itself, relationship. How dare, huh? Anyway. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And I would probably have less of a judgmental, like I would judge her less if she didn't start with men's sexuality is emotionally hollow, and they initially wanted women because they were trophies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm pretty sure that the way that men looked at marriage in the past, and I've been reading something about this, Unwin, I think, talks about this, is that it was an epic adventure. Not a romance, not a rom-com, not lit from within the eternal spark. We're always going to be having this wonderful emotion. No, it's going to be an epic adventure where you go sail and you have somebody's back, somebody to lash down the sails, somebody to hug when you go into the squall, and it's going to be bad and it's going to be good. but you're going to be building something. You're going to be going somewhere. You're going to be going on a journey with another human being. And that's the way I think men view their relationships more than women. And unfortunately, life is more like an epic adventure, or at least it's more like ups and downs than it is the eternal lukewarm spark of a fucking rom-com. All right. Okay, I'm done. I'm good.
Okay. Should I like take us out then?
Yeah, let's take it out. Okay, so if you like anything, you want to comment on anything, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. There's no fundraiser now, so nothing to put funds towards. I'll be starting it up soon. So if you just want to go to feedthebadger.com and /support and look at the fundraiser, you don't have to do this, but if you want to, you could do that. feedthebadger.com/support. All right, yeah, I'll hand it to you, Brian. Take us out.
All right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed in the show today, and please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. I read all the super chats already. So thank you guys so much for coming on. I'm just double checking it. Oh, J.O. Bales gave us $1.99 and said, lol, she's being emotionally edged. I'm sorry, I missed that one. That was from earlier. Thank you guys so much thank you for the super chat. Sorry that I missed it. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we will talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's right activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.